There is a strange paradox at the heart of global finance. The institutions that shape our economies, the forces that determine who thrives and who collapses, are not always the ones we see on television, walking into parliament halls, or ringing bells on Wall Street. Behind every public bank, every central bank decision, every government bailout, there is another system, quiet, ancient, and infinitely more powerful. A banking network with no storefronts, no marketing, no public shareholders demanding quarterly reports. A system so deeply embedded in the machinery of global trade that most people will never know exists. And yet, without it, the world economy would stop in a single night. This is the story of the hidden banking system running the world. To understand this invisible system, we need to travel back, far beyond the skyscrapers, trading floors, and modern regulations, back to a time when empires didn't rise through armies, but through numbers carved into clay. In ancient Mesopotamia, long before coins existed, temples acted as proto-banks. Farmers deposited grain. Merchants borrowed supplies for long journeys across deserts and seas. And high priests tracked every transaction on clay tablets, creating the first recognizable form of credit. Civilizations learned something crucial. You don't need to move money to move power. You only need to move trust. Over time, merchants in the Mediterranean refined this idea. They created letters of credit, contracts guaranteeing payment miles away from home. A medieval trader in Florence could buy spices in Alexandria using nothing but a signed piece of parchment. But the real turning point came in the 17th century, when Europe's emerging financial hubs, Amsterdam, London, and Genoa, developed networks of private banking families. These families didn't just lend money, they lent legitimacy. They quietly financed wars that shaped borders, monarchies that shaped nations, and trade routes that shaped the modern world. And they learned a truth that still governs every financial crisis today. The most powerful bank is the one that can operate without being seen. Most people believe banks store money in vaults. The reality is stranger. Commercial banks, the ones we see, store their reserves in far bigger, far quieter institutions known as correspondent banks and clearing banks. These banks move trillions in the background, settling debts between nations, clearing transactions across continents, verifying flows that move faster than any currency ever printed. Every major economy depends on these mechanisms. SWIFT for secure global messaging, CHIPS in the United States for clearing large interbank transfers, Target 2 in Europe for settling cross-border euro transactions, CLS for eliminating settlement risks in foreign exchange markets. These networks don't create money. They control its movement. They are the circulatory system of global finance, moving capital silently, instantly, and with extraordinary precision. If even one of them stopped for a few hours, international trade would freeze, markets would break, and governments would scramble to respond. But they're not the true core. Behind them lies something even more invisible. Every country knows its central bank, its Federal Reserve, its Bank of England, its European Central Bank. But few understand how intertwined these institutions truly are. Central banks coordinate through a quiet, remarkably influential institution in Basel, Switzerland. The Bank for International Settlements is the central bank of central banks. Inside its concrete fortress, representatives from the world's most powerful monetary authorities meet behind closed doors. They coordinate interest rate strategies. They analyze systemic risks before they hit the news. They create uniform regulations that affect every bank on Earth. And unlike regular central banks, the BS is not accountable to any single government. It has diplomatic immunity. Its staff cannot be searched. Its communications cannot be intercepted. It operates above national politics, above public scrutiny, and above democratic oversight. Yet its decisions shape the lives of billions. Perhaps the most hidden and most important banking structure is something most people have never heard of: the Eurodollar market. It began during the Cold War, when nations feared that keeping their US dollars inside the US made them vulnerable to political pressure. So they stored their dollars in European banks instead. This simple decision created an offshore dollar system, entirely outside U.S. jurisdiction. Today, that system is enormous. Some estimates suggest it is larger than the entire U.S. domestic banking sector. Eurodollars aren't physical dollars. They're digital promises, IOUs created by banks outside the United States, backed by trust, contracts, and interbank agreements. This offshore dollar network now sets global interest rates, funds major corporations, determines who gets access to capital and who doesn't, moves trillions without ever touching American soil. It is the world's real reserve currency system, operating in the shadows alongside, and sometimes beyond central banks. Governments do not fully control it. Voters never see it, but markets obey it. The hidden banking system rarely appears in public view until it breaks. In 2008, the world watched the surface-level collapse, mortgages, Wall Street, failing banks. But behind the scenes, something deeper happened. The Eurodollar system froze. Banks stopped trusting one another. Offshore dollar liquidity evaporated. And the Federal Reserve, not just for America, but for the entire world, had to step in to rescue foreign banks through emergency swap lines. Again in 2020, the pandemic triggered another global dollar shortage. Once more, the hidden system buckled in. Silence. And the Fed became the lender of last resort to dozens of countries. Each crisis revealed the same truth. Global finance is not governed by nations. It is governed by networks. And networks survive only when they trust each other. So who controls this hidden banking order? Not presidents, not parliaments, not even Wall Street alone. The system is governed by central bankers, clearinghouse institutions, offshore liquidity providers, interconnected banks across London, New York, Zurich, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the rules written quietly in Basel. Their power comes not from secrecy, but from complexity. Most people don't understand the system. Most lawmakers don't either. And that opacity gives it strength and danger. Because the moment ordinary citizens lose trust, the moment nations decide to break away, the moment digital currencies challenge the old architecture, the hidden banking system will face a test unlike anything in the last century. At the heart of global finance lies a paradox. We build a system so efficient, so interconnected, that no single country controls it. Yet every country depends on it. It is both the backbone of global stability and the source of global fragility. We live in a world where money moves faster than politics, where banks answer to other banks, and where the most important financial decisions are made far from public eyes. But perhaps the greater lesson is this. The true power of the hidden banking system is not its secrecy, but our dependence on it. For now, it keeps the world running, quietly, relentlessly, invisibly. And if it ever stopped, even for a moment, we would feel its absence instantly. Not because it hides in the shadows, but because it holds up the world from beneath them.